in this best of 5. We are loaded in. And our first player in the Northwest who just melted his keyboard with how fast his hands are from SK Telecom T1, he's INnoVation.
And his opponent in the bottom right, starting down 0-1. Known for being amazing at all matchups except against the champagne bottle. It is Team Liquid's TaeJa.
And I'm expecting to see that gas first play, Day 9. I'm expecting to see some fast, aggressive play out of both players, or just that hyper defensive Raven. But you know, it's hard to ever really call that Raven play defensive, because the amount of times that I've had, you know, someone's open with that against me and then they push you with 3 auto turrets and a lot of Hellions or that tank drop. It happens quite often.
Cojones of steel on INnoVation.
Oh, wow.
He's at 13 supply. I mean, now
he's going to go command center first.
Command center first is a very, very tricky play to pull off. You have to rush for the starport to get that Viking out in time to deal with the Banshee. It hardly matters what you scout, only if you see lots of barracks and no tech. I mean, can you get away without the Viking? But you gotta get that Viking fast. That limits so much of INnoVation's possibilities.
Ideally, when you go for a command center first in Terran versus Terran, you actually want that Banshee play, because you don't require gas to get up an engineering base so that you have some level of defense. But usually you want to get your gas after your first barracks. You don't open with multiple barracks, which means you have very little ground defense. Plays like the fast Hellion or that fast mine drop can be really devastating, because you just don't really have many units. You don't have the production with the way that the build is set up to get those units. You rather rely on rushing up to a Viking and buying time with missile turrets. So it's more important this game how TaeJa follows up his gas first play than any of the other ones, because INnoVation is the least capable he's been in this series to defend any type of fast push.
Yeah, but at the same time, if you're in TaeJa's shoes, it's very easy to go, well, oh, there it is. Now, I'm expecting TaeJa to toss down another gas or to prepare a very aggressive play, because a lot of times what players will do in TaeJa's spot is say, hey, you are probably going to be going for a fast gas play too. I'm going to do an economic fast gas play. But that is exactly what INnoVation would hope for, and exactly what would give INnoVation a big edge. And TaeJa, as we see, getting that second gas, big attacks planned for TaeJa.
Yeah, and it's important to note that the reason why opening with 2 barracks is still a very dangerous play is because, as we mentioned earlier, when you asked me about this, Marines are not that mobile. That Viking is incredibly important, and INnoVation's actually even going to build a bunker up front. He's kind of concerned about the potential pushes that could come. TaeJa so far, I think if you scouted this, you can pretty safely go for that Banshee and still try to make some magic happen. It doesn't have to be, because Raven tank drops are so strong on this map for all the reasons that we mentioned, with all the different angles that you can push from. The ball is really in TaeJa's court. He can decide how aggressive this game starts entirely on his own.
TaeJa not doing anything with his factory yet. Nope. Wow. Wow.
Oh,
re-landing it. Oh my God.
He's going straight for that tank play.
Straight in tank. Oh my God, there's the tank. He can unload it right there. Now, again, INnoVation has got to be sprinting towards Viking. And I don't know if there was a scan that went down for INnoVation, because we saw TaeJa do the little lift move and then return the factory back to his home tech lab.
Yeah, I mean, INnoVation saw the second gas, but that doesn't tell you enough. It could still be Raven, it could still be Tank, it could still be Banshee. You know, there's still a ton of options available for what TaeJa's follow-up is, and I like this follow-up because, as you and I discussed, this is the map for it. You have such a tough spot to deal with. Now he sees the add-ons moving, but is he 100% aware? And better question, Day 9, does he actually have what he needs to stop this? Because just Hellions without that Viking aren't gonna cut it yet.
This is such a cool play from TaeJa. He's going for the tank drop, and then he's going Banshee Mine behind it. Mine for defense, but Banshee for offense. And to answer your question, Nate, I don't think he does. TaeJa is doing a very low commitment, high guaranteed damage attack.
Yeah, this is, you'd say that the TaeJa should be able to kill a few workers, and this is how he equalizes things, because we need to keep in mind that his expansion is significantly later than INnoVation's. INnoVation is ahead on economy by default with the way these build orders planned out, and TaeJa still wants to do a little bit more damage. It's like, yeah, he's killed a few workers, but this actually isn't quite enough yet.
Right now we see, is TaeJa really going to drop that tank on the high ground? He might just lift up, return right back home.
No. I mean, if you see this high Hellion count, all you need to do is make sure that the Hellions can't splash all of the Marines with that tank. But it's looking like they might actually be able to, so he will pick up. TaeJa didn't have the greatest positioning possible, but he also didn't want to guarantee that he would lose the forces by allowing that Viking to kill the medevac or just abandoning his very expensive tank. This Banshee follow-up is still really cool, though, because if that Viking chases out with the Hellions, well, he almost like accidentally hit the lottery there.
And this is a cool follow-up move from INnoVation. He's getting Cloak, he's getting Banshees, he's clearly planning out his follow-up steps. Now this mine is going to get a nice little hit from this, oh, no, only going to get one. But I'm keeping a sharp eye on that Banshee on the mini-map.
Yeah, well, the nice thing for TaeJa is you see this many Hellions, though, even with just that mine, you're like, I don't have a lot of units to defend, but he's going to go mech again. This is not a setup for any type of bio play. He's going for his third and fourth gas, so I'll say it's definitely going to be mech now. This Banshee, though, even though he has an engineering bay, there's still no turret, because he's like, oh, okay, you just went for this this tank play, and now he even gets more value out of the original investment, despite the fact that there's a Viking and an engineering bay, and another Banshee shows up. TaeJa just picking apart INnoVation at the start of this game so far.
And look, now that worker lead goes to INnoVation, or excuse me, goes to TaeJa, 33 to 26 to 25. Wait a minute. Wait. Did a crash happen? Because it said INnoVation victory, and that's not.
No, I can't.
I'm horribly confused, Nathanius.
I was going to say, it's like, I don't think INnoVation just won that game unless he just teleported like 8 BCs from Legacy into his game. So we're probably going to jump back into that one within a minute or two.
Just a absolutely brutal experience for INnoVation. Clear frustration all over his body language. His face buried in his hands right now. I mean, I cannot imagine how frustrating of an experience that is at the highest pressure moment of the game.
Yeah, I mean, at this point in the game, you, as a Terran player trying to defend this, you are actually trying to do like 10 things at once, because you still want to build units, you still want to get your macro going, build supply depots while simultaneously defending, and now all of that is put in it's put on the back burner, because he's saying, we're going to have to wait until we get back into the game. And INnoVation, this series is going about as rough as it possibly can, especially considering how it started so well for him.
Oh God, I mean, sincerest apologies to all who came out. The delays, certainly a frustrating experience, but nothing I think can compare to what's going through the head of INnoVation right now. I mean, he gave up playing in so many foreign tournaments to stay in Korea and train with SKT1.
Yeah, he's one of those guys. He said in his interviews, he said it when he joined SKT, he wants the order, he wants the structure. He doesn't want to have to deal with anything really outside of his comfort zone, practicing a ton in the Korean team house with his teammates. And this is not that order that he might be prepared for, and I think that's something that really throws a player like INnoVation especially off of his game.
And I mean, there's a reality to pro gaming that is, I'm actually surprised at how little it's mentioned, which is just how to deal with being at a tournament.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll take a DreamHack production where someone says to you, all right, your game will be coming up in 30 minutes. And you say, right. And then it turns into 2 hours because the game that you're waiting on turned into a 2-hour best of 3. Yeah. And there's nothing you can do about it. Nobody's at fault. You just need to stay focused. You need to get in the zone. I think the biggest difference between the Korean leagues and the foreign leagues in that sense is that the foreign leagues will have a lot more variance. They tend to be 1 weekend long tournaments where that unpredictability is something TaeJa is going to be very, 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 very used to. But INnoVation, I don't know if he has had the same experience. Typically in Korean leagues, you prepare for one match, you show up, and then you play that one match, and that's all you got to do the whole day.
You're playing in the same place for every match that you're going to be playing. The environment never changes. The setup isn't really moved around as much, and It's something that's a lot more predictable when you're practicing, especially, and I imagine that this is something that they take into consideration when they're practicing for Pro League in the Korean team houses, where, you know, of course, playing from the comfort of basically your own home also makes it a lot easier for the mental condition, at least, in those types of tournaments.
So TaeJa, not in a 1 position. INnoVation definitely in a dangerous position.
Yeah.
It's actually, I wonder what the ruling's going to be. I genuinely wonder, because in that spot, if you do a resume from replay, you got to make sure that you don't even have a few seconds off.
Yeah.
That's 3 or 4 workers.
You pretty much just have to start right from there. And, you know, it kind of goes back a little bit, at least the game situation. Well, these guys are, I mean, the Base Trade TV. I'm sure you guys have seen their community broadcasts.
Just the best. Rifkin.
Those guys cover
Zambro.
everything. And of course, shout out to all the other awesome folk here. You guys make all of this happen. It wouldn't be much of a point having a tournament in Arena if there wasn't anybody here, right, Day9?
Yeah. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us here in the arena. How you like that stage?
It's pretty awesome.
Oh my God, back into the game. And immediately, oh, INnoVation. In the seconds that he is having to quickly return back, loses a few extra SCVs to mining.
Yeah, TaeJa has made the most of his opening. 22 workers killed. And this also goes back to, why do people go gas first? INnoVation has his economy set up more, but in TVT, the tech has such a bigger hand in the way that engagements play out. And now he's managing to do a little bit of damage back. He's gotten his Banshee, and TaeJa not necessarily prepared for this, especially considering that he's gone up to 2 factories himself, and he has to wait for all these units to come back home to defend, and there's really not a lot to defend with.
INnoVation, look at that control. Wow, TaeJa loading up, trying to preserve his SCVs, but INnoVation refuses.
Hey man, INnoVation has bought himself a new lease on life. That worker count is very close once again. In fact, I'd say without that play, you're almost screwed as INnoVation. But suddenly this game looks a lot better. TaeJa still has, of course, since his economy was lost a little bit later, he has the army supply to kind of show for the resources that he was able to mine with them. But at the same hand, I guess if you don't really have Marines and STEM, you're not going to break a defensive line early on. So it's just Hellion versus Hellion, and we've got ourselves a ball game again.
Gosh, what a return move from INnoVation. That is astounding to maintain that level of calm and focus. And when that Banshee is in the back line, there's so much riding on that. And INnoVation is now within 5 supply.
The biggest problem right now for INnoVation is the 3rd command center for TaeJa. His economy recovers a little bit more quickly from that damage. He still has a very small worker lead, but he's taking his 3rd base right now. And unless INnoVation takes his 3rd and trades out a little bit, he's just going to fall behind. Also keep in mind, this Viking count with the Raven in the Banshee, they can handle these Hellions absolutely no problem at all. And does INnoVation actually have the necessary anti-air to handle this? I'm not sure how much. He's going to have to use all that Raven energy. Auto turrets might even be ideal, because I don't know if you can just win a Viking war like this.
Uh-oh, there is not good anti-air here. Yeah. I mean, the turrets are the only thing helping protect this.
Parking on this starport is so smart. You know, it's even numbers if he has the, you know, the 4 Vikings fighting. But there's the point defense drone, and this is still really tricky. Now these Vikings are going to pop out, but you know, both players have the same tools to play with, and there's just more toys for TaeJa.
Oh my God, TaeJa's just sitting here. He's roasting every single unit that comes out. The Raven falls, and now TaeJa just sits with his Banshee, calmly targeting the single add-on.
He does not have is that a Thor in production on the factory? That's like the only thing that could possibly save him. No
Thor, and none at all.
He won't be able to build a turret. His Viking production is cut. INnoVation has absolutely no answer now to TaeJa camping his only source of anti-air.
This is,
He's gonna land his Vikings.
The
Vikings you have nothing.
Oh my God, my heart breaks for INnoVation, seeing this situation, this giant ground army, helpless, unable to do anything. TaeJa's taken a 3rd base. TaeJa's almost done with his +1 upgrade.
TaeJa's walled off his 3rd as well from the left side. INnoVation has almost no alleyway to go for a counterattack. He has to push the front. He is being funneled in to the strongest single point of defense that TaeJa has. Those tanks sieging up, and the return of his Air Force are going to mark a damn near impossible comeback here for INnoVation.
And there's GG.